Good morning, everyone. I'm Evan Donovan. News Channel 8 is your local election headquarters. Welcome into our Sunday political show. Yesterday, I had a chance to sit down with former governor and current U.S. Representative Charlie Crist. We talked about the Nunes memo, attacks on the FBI and the DOJ, and whether Crist may make another run for governor. The House Intelligence Committee declassified, with the permission of the president and the special counsel, or excuse me, the president's counsel, this memo written by Devin Nunes. What is your impression of the memo and the fallout from it?
Well, I took the occasion to read it myself last week when I was in Washington, just to kind of get a sense of what this was all about. and as I was reading it, it struck me that it was reaching conclusion after conclusion without what I would consider sufficient documentation to back up the conclusions that were being reached. And so I don't put a whole lot of stock into it, to be honest with you. And it's kind of disturbing to me that it looks more politically motivated than it should be. My hope is that the Democratic memo would also be able to be released. And as I'm told from my Democratic colleagues, it has significant documentation to support the conclusions that are reached in it. I think that might provide a nice balance to what's happening with this first memo having been released. I think the American people deserve to know that institutions like the FBI, the Department of Justice, these are institutions we've relied on for a very long time to protect us and fight for us and look out for us. And by and large, that's exactly what they've done. And I think that's what they were doing here.
Does it bother you? I mean, there's an issue of transparency here, that it appears as though we're moving towards transparency, but if we're cherry picking certain things, then maybe we're not. You've been a politician most of your life. Have we reached such a state in partisan politics now that these hallmarks of our government, the FBI, the Department of Justice, have now become partisan? Or are they just being used as partisan tools?
I don't think that the FBI or the Department of Justice in and of themselves have become partisan. I think that they are, as you say, I think appropriately being used and utilized for partisan gain. That's what's disturbing about what's happening with this. And I don't think it makes the American people very happy. It confuses a lot of issues. And it looks in some ways as though it's trying to take a lot of the sting or legitimacy away from Robert Mueller's investigation, which I think is a shame, because this is a man of great integrity. He's a decorated war veteran. He happens to be a Republican. And so denigrating that process, I think, is a disservice to justice in America.
You'll be on the ballot again in November. Also,
yes, sir,
on the ballot will be this issue of felons' rights.
Yes.
Restoring voting rights to people who are convicted of felonies and have served their sentence.
Right.
Are you in favor of that?
Very much so. I think automatic restoration of rights for nonviolent felons is simply the right thing to do. You want to give people the opportunity to get their life restored, to have an opportunity to have a second chance. You know, particularly now that they've already paid their debt to society, who doesn't believe in second chances and forgiveness? So I think it's very important that that ballot initiative, I think it's Amendment 4, passes. Of course, it requires 60%. It's a pretty high bar, but I think most Floridians feel that way.
You have been Florida's governor. You're very close to being Florida's governor again. What are your thoughts on the governor's race this year?
Well, you know, I think it's going to be an interesting race. I think that there are good candidates on both sides of the aisle. I'm looking forward to observing it, and I hope we have a good conclusion for my fellow Floridians.
That was a pretty down-the-middle answer.
Yeah, it's the truth.
No, we're not going to see we're not going to break any news today. We're not going to see a Charlie Crist attempt at this seat.
No.
No, is that done for you?
Yes.
Yeah. It looks as though Rick Scott, by all accounts, may run against Bill Nelson for the Senate seat.
Right.
Talk about your relationship with Bill Nelson, and also, I guess, you know, in some ways with Governor Scott.
Sure. Well, I think the world of Senator Nelson. I think he's done an incredible job, a very distinguished career as a public servant, both serving in Congress, the Florida cabinet, now as our U.S. Senator for a couple of terms, and I fully support him. I think he will be reelected. Should Governor Scott run, I think it'll be a tough race. But they're all pretty tough in Florida. You know, we're a purple state, so, but I think it'll be a good race, and I think that Senator Nelson will win. I hope so for the people.
We've got a lot to get to today, so
thank you, Evan.